Hello beautiful souls, welcome back to another video on Starseed Academy. My name is Jenny, and in today's video we're going to be traveling to the constellation of Lyra. So this is a beautiful society to learn about a lot of feline beings that live there, and a lot of you have past lives in Lyra and really resonate with this star system. So before we jump in any further, I just want to remind you to please like this video, share this video, and subscribe for new videos on this channel every Sunday, Monday, Wednesday. So the first thing that I want to say about Lyra is, yes, the feline beings. But there are many different kinds of these feline beings. It's everything. It's like cats, like a regular house cat would look, panthers, cheetahs, lions, jaguars, but mostly a lot of tigers. And with the tiger beings, I noticed that there are so many different colors of these tiger beings. So there are like golden tigers, orange tigers, white tigers, and then a really special blue tiger. So the blue tiger, or the blue feline being, has come up for me in quite a few readings for starseeds in their past parallel lives. And I'm going to try to find a photo that somewhat can represent what I'm describing, though please know that the photo probably won't be exact, because I mean, we're not going to have a drawing that looks exactly like what I've seen, but I'll do my best research to try to find something to show you a representation of these amazing blue tigers. So it's a very bright blue, like it's a very vibrant color of fur all over the body, very bright. And then there are white stripes for the tiger, and then also white markings around the face. And these can be very intricate. They're beautiful. The white glows like moonlight. It's so pretty. And on the face, there's like a lot of intricate, like not just stripes, but like dots and different markings around the eyes and the face, going all the way down the body and the tail. And then these blue tigers all had the same amber colored eyes, like a very warm, again, almost glowing amber color. And they were just very, very stunning. A lot of these feline beings, mostly the feminine, divine feminine or female ones, also wear like really beautiful jewelry to accent their markings. So the blue tigers with like the amber colored eyes, I saw were wearing like amber colored like earrings, or something like over the third eye with like a jeweled necklace that hung on the third eye, or like a regular necklace. Like it was just really super beautiful. And so all of these different feline beings are upright. So they walk on their hind legs, like their back feet, because they're humanoid, right? So a feline being would be part advanced human DNA, part advanced feline DNA, whichever cat they chose, blended together. But there's a difference than what I saw with avian beings. So with the avian beings, there's more of the human present, and the feathers were really more focused on the face and the head, going down the shoulders to the wings. But then they had, like, the rest was like a human body, not feathered, had the regular human hands and feet. But with feline beings, it's like a full cat, like completely fur, like all the way, paws, not hands, but they're standing on the back feet as a human would. So there is still some of the human presence there, but more so of the feline, the advanced feline. So they walk on their two back legs. However, when they run, I noticed that they go to all 4 feet to run. And then the babies, so cute, start out on all 4s, and that's like their form of crawling. And then eventually they would stand up and attempt to walk just like a human would. So all of this information that I'm pulling from is things that I've seen in readings for you guys. So parallel lifetimes that you've had on Lyra. And so this is like channeled information, psychic information received through clairvoyance, clairaudience, and all of that. So the next thing that I wanted to mention is that their style of dress was really interesting. Like they wore a lot of kimonos and a lot of silks, and just had like a very, I don't know, the whole society or world had like a very Asian influence in that way, in the way that they dressed. There was also a lot of like martial arts and Qigong and Tai Chi happening. And then in the world, there were also other touches of that. Like there were big stone fountains, like beautiful fountains or ponds with koi fish. So there was a lot of that influence. And like I said, specifically also in the dress, wearing like different kimonos and different silks. And it was all very elegant and really beautiful. So the landscape of Lyra is a little bit harder to describe. There were colors that we don't have on Earth, so there's no real word for it. But there was a lot of like purple hues to their world. So, I mean, there was also green, like there was green, lush landscapes, but there was also a lot of purple grass and plants and purple hues to their plant life. And then even the sky, like instead of being like on Earth, it's very blue, pale blue or bright blue. There it had more of that purple hue as well. And I think that is all because that their sun is just very different than ours, right? So for creating colors, if their sun is different than ours, they're going to have different kinds of hues. And it just seemed like there was more colors and hues available than what we have here on Earth. The landscape was also a lot of open spaces, like really beautiful open spaces, rolling hills, farms, and a lot of fruit orchards, like a lot. It's their main diet, it's their staple, but there's a ton of different kinds of fruit. Very like rare, nothing like we've seen on Earth. All of these different rare fruits that each support a different like nutrient or vitamin. And so they have like a mixture of all of these different beautiful fruits in their diet. And then the fruit orchards themselves were just stunning, like the blossoms and the trees, and the whole world is just very beautiful and very country, like as opposed to like our Atlantis video that was all city. This was so country. This was like open land, rolling hills, trees and flowers and plant life, and it was so beautiful. So a lot of the beings there worked in the fruit orchards and were very happy beings. That was very fulfilling to them. I mean, it fed the whole world. So so there was a lot of help needed, but a lot of like help given to these, the harvest or whatever is happening in the fruit orchards. It was so beautiful. And then like the vibe of the society was really community based. There was so much community. They were always coming together to celebrate things or support people, or almost like a small town vibe where you've got all of these, everyone knows one another, and you've got all of these gatherings happening, like kind of old fashioned or that small town vibe, but in the best way. And then it was also very family oriented. So there was a lot of importance placed on the family unit. So, not so different. We always think that these worlds are going to be so crazy and different. And I mean, I guess in a lot of ways that they are. I mean, they're completely different beings. And, a lot of the times the technology or the landscapes are really different. But when it comes right down to the people, the souls, it's always not that different than us. Like, the family aspect and that being important to them, living in homes with a family and children and all of that, and having these community gatherings and get-togethers. It's really beautiful and wholesome. I feel like Lyra was really wholesome. And then there was like a really spiritual side to it all. So, and very high vibrational, not religious, but spiritual temples, a lot of spiritual temples where they would have like people that like almost like priestesses or priests vibes that were there. The temples were gorgeous and very embellished with imagery of the sun. I noticed a lot of sun imagery. I think that was really important to them. And it represented a lot of sun codes, light codes, ascension energies. There were other like moon and galactic symbolism as well, but most of it was sun, golden and sun. So a lot of that symbolism. There were scrolls where they were writing in these scrolls, and that would be like esoteric information and wisdom, because there were channelers, people that were channeling divine source light information. And then the communities would go to these temples like on a regular basis, like the families going there, and listening and hearing like talks being made, like with this channeled information where they're either reading from the scrolls or they're channeling information and just doing these beautiful talks. But there was no ego to it, and that's where it differs from religion. There was no hierarchy. There was no ego. There was no rules being set out that people had to follow. There was no control. It was like, if you'd like to come and enjoy some high vibe information, then you could. Like, it was very free. And then there was also a part of that same like spiritual temple experience was storytelling. So like there would be time where the elders of the communities would be telling stories, not necessarily like spiritual or esoteric information, just storytelling, like villages and tribes from before. Like that's what I mean when it was like very wholesome and almost old-fashioned in a way. So the elders would be telling stories, and then there were mystics, which were different than the priestesses or the priests. There were these mystics also telling stories about their travels, astral adventures, dreams. It was so multifaceted. It was beautiful. And all of these different kinds of people together, like learning and sharing, and yeah, just so wholesome. And meditation was also really important to them. So some of these spiritual ceremonies were just everybody meditating together. And then also that the people lived in a meditative state, which I would say is a state of peace and presence. Like really being in the moment that you're in. That's a meditative state where you're not up here living in your mental energy, thoughts, racing thoughts. You're living from your heart space. And you're just so present and grateful, and it was so beautiful. I really enjoy visiting Lyra. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm like really, I don't know if I've had a past life there before, at least not one that I've uncovered yet. But I've had so many lifetimes. I mean, I'm sure that I feel such a strong resonance for a reason. But for myself, I don't do readings on myself. I know that that's maybe weird to you. I know a lot of people say like, why not? Like I would want to know everything, but I don't know. I don't want to. I love doing readings for other people. And then when it comes to myself, and sometimes I show up in readings for other people. That's a whole story for another day. And I've also showed up as a guide, like a different, not me, Jenny, but like a different aspect of myself has shown up as a guide for someone, like, you know, depending on what kind of reading you're getting, if you're getting like a guide, spirit guide reading, or the past parallel life reading, or the complete cosmic reading, which has everything, both. Yeah, like I've definitely shown up before in readings, but I don't tend to do like my own readings. So what comes through for me for past lives, like my Orion saga and experience, that all comes through naturally for me when it's meant to, because I don't go digging. I've had a mantis life come through, an Orion life, a reptilian life, a Pleiadian life, like a lot of different lives, but they come through when I'm ready, and there's usually a lot of healing to be done with it. So it's for a reason. So, I mean, if I was curious, I could go digging and looking for, but that's not how I work. I get like a feeling of, sorry, we're totally off track, but I'm going with it. I get like a feeling of that I call percolation when something's about to come through. So like it literally is percolation. You feel something bubbling up from the surface like a kettle. It starts to bubble up and bubble up and bubble up, and it creates kind of anxiety or that like anticipatory feeling. And I feel it for like at least a few days, almost a week before it happens. And I'm like, oh, something's on its way. And then it overflows. And then it's usually a past life or something like that. Or maybe like a massive download. Or a new guide joining my team. That's happened before. I enjoy reading. Like I enjoy receiving my past life information. It's just that for me, it's been all so traumatic. So traumatic. The stuff that comes up. So maybe that's subconsciously why I don't go looking for it. But I feel inspired to with Lyra. Like I want to know, like I really do want to. So maybe there'll be a whole new saga for you after the Orion one of something new, and hopefully something less heavy too. Less heavy would be lovely. Okay, so back to Lyra. So they use advanced telepathy, like super, super advanced. So for them, telepathy isn't just receiving the words. It's receiving everything into their mind. They receive the words, the inflection, the tone, the sound of the voice. It's like someone's talking to them without talking to them. Like it's a full audio experience. And then they also really use their eyes a lot. So as the telepathy is happening, they're making like a lot of eye contact and using their eyes to also transmit the intention and the emotion and the feeling behind it. It's mostly telepathy there. Though with the children, there's definitely a lot of sounds and noise and, cat noises, like roars, meows, all that adorable stuff. But not human language, not spoken language, just sounds and then telepathy. So because of that, they can speak in any language, because telepathy isn't limited to English or something like that. It's everything. It's universal. And then light language, for them is like music. So it's like they really enjoy music in this society, in this culture. There's a lot of music, a lot of instruments, a lot of singing. In a way, it's singing, but it's not words. Like it's sounds and it's tones and it's music. It's singing. It's voices. It's beautiful. And then like the instrumental stuff is awesome too. Like they have all kinds of instruments. Some similar to what's on Earth, some very different. A lot of horns and different things. But yeah, really into music, really into celebrating, dancing, being together, gathering together, and being lighthearted with it. And it's super high vibe, lighthearted, joyful, community-based, celebrations, music, spirituality, depth, and just wholesome and really beautiful. So I did also get a peek at some of the technology there, just with the vehicles. So the vehicles were like hover. I was going to say hovercraft, but that sounded weird, but they hovered, like their vehicles hovered. And they were rounded, like they were round shaped with like the glass dome on the top and then very round. They hovered above the ground. They came in different sizes depending on what the person needed for their family. They were small, big, whatever. And it was free energy, whatever they were using. They were very, very into being at one with their world, nature. So it definitely wasn't anything that would harm that environment. And I don't know if it was hydrogen or water, but it was something like that. It was free energy anyway. And it was silent. Like the vehicles were totally silent. So there was nothing to hear. They were just there. And then kind of similar to Atlantis with the material used was that transparent, really strong material that I've heard of being used on the moon. Random thought, but I've definitely read about moon structures being made out of this clear, super, like the most strong material that there is in the universe, and it just happens to be transparent and really like good for building things. But anyway, so that was a really big part of the Atlantis society, and this same material is showing up in Lyra for their vehicles, and maybe it was in other places as well, but I didn't see a lot of technology or buildings or cities. Every time I go there, it's a very like rural country vibe, but then the vehicles were like that futuristic touch that almost didn't really fit in. It almost seemed like they should have like horse and cart or something, but they had these really great, awesome vehicles. And then the last thing that I was going to say about Lyra and the feline beings is that they are incredibly powerful and will protect their world. Absolutely, if need be, but are not out there looking for battles. So they kind of keep to themselves for obvious reasons. Look how amazing their world is, right? They do have ambassadors, though, that go out into other constellations to keep kind of like peace treaties almost. That's not what they call it, but that is essentially what it is. Ambassadors going out to, and having ambassadors visit them as well. It goes both ways. They're going to have visitors. Though most of the people that live there were feline. But yes, they're going to have visitors, and they're going to go visiting, and they're going to have this back and forth of ambassadors of peace and ambassadors sharing information and knowledge and technology. They're involved in all of that still. They're not in the Dark Ages. But they keep to themselves in the sense of they are not a part of any kind of like wars or battles happening. They are very neutral, and very powerful, super, super powerful. Like they're themselves as beings for sure. And then just also like their level of intelligence and understanding, super powerful. So they could, but they don't. They would defend and protect their world if need be. Like I guarantee that, like 100%. But like I said, they're just not out there starting stuff, right? They're very mature, so they're not out there starting battles or anything like that, or joining in on other people's, because they are really highly locked into oneness. That very high vibrational understanding of oneness, where they are allowing everyone to have the experiences that they want to have, and then they are creating the world that they want to experience. So they really understand that oneness, and that is the timeline that they are on. So super beautiful world. Let me know what you think. What experiences have you had with Lyra? Have you visited there astrally? Does this resonate for you, especially with like the landscape and the colors being different, having that a lot of purple hues in there, and just how incredibly beautiful and wholesome their society was. So I'd love to hear about your visits to Lyra, or your Lyran lifetimes or guides or whatever you want to share. That's so awesome. So definitely put that in the comment section below for everyone to enjoy. And then also remember that if you want to have a reading done like this, where you get to experience these other worlds, but on a personal level, and learn about yourself in it, like as one of these beings, it's so detailed too. Like you get so much. You find out about what your appearance, what you look like, what kind of being you were, your name and who was around you at that time, what your life was like, if you did any kind of a work, if you had a family, you know, I mean, so much comes through. Plus the soul, the most important thing, the soul lessons that lifetime was all about for you. So what soul lessons were you working on in that life, and how is that energy still affecting you today in this life? So really, really important information, very helpful information to your growth. And so anyway, check the links in the description box below if you want to work with me in any way. I would love that. And then before you go, please make sure to like this video, share, subscribe. And I always want to remind you to listen to your heart and the quiet voice within. Because you are so much more than the body you are in. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful day. Bye.